The format's going to be roughly this: a brief introduction and a question for each panelist, and then we'll break into a conversation that Nathan and I will moderate and among the panelists. This morning we were at Watkins and it was quite lively and informative, and then we will have lots of time that is devoted to questions as well from the audience. So, Nathan, you coming up? You can. Or actually, that's right, you've got one more job to do back there in the video village, don't you? Let's start with Tracy Ficelli. Tracy is a multifaceted filmmaker and multi-talented filmmaker. She works regularly for features and television as a second AC. Some of her credits include Scrubs, Hustle and Flow, Stoker. She's directed several award-winning short films, including Favorites and How I Got Made. Tracy is a member of the International Cinematographers Guild, IATSE Local 600, and is a mentor and tireless advocate for set safety. Thank you for being here, Tracy. And so, Tracy, what is it about set safety? What is it that brought you to this awareness and your desire to be here tonight and have this conversation?
Well, you know, back even before I was ever in the industry, I heard about Brent's accident. Like, I remember seeing that before I ever even, like, when being a filmmaker was like this thing I wanted to do but didn't really know how that would happen. So I kind of was always aware of it. I knew, and you know, so I knew that. And then when you get in the industry, it's a little bit different. I was really lucky that I worked with some really good people kind of right out of the gate. Some of it's always timing, but so I got on some bigger movies right away, and I worked with really trained people who kind of showed me the ins and outs. And, you know, originally, I don't know that I always spoke up because it's in the culture and there's a stigma. And especially if you're a female in the camera department, there's a lot of, you know, I can think of several times I was told to stop acting like a girl. You know, so, well, okay, and I remember saying back to one guy one time, well, that's all fine and great, but I don't think it's safe, and I'm going to be the one that has to tell your wife and kids what happened to you. And so, I think we found another way to do whatever we were going to do. But after, it's kind of like, for me, it's like before and after Sarah. Because after Sarah, I don't care. You can fire me. My BA will be calling you. That's why you're in the union. You have protections. I don't care. I will say whatever. You know, we talked earlier today. Joyce mentioned earlier, I'm sure you mentioned it, that she worked with a PA who got into a really serious car accident. And we did a TV show 2 years ago, and there was a PA, and it freaked me out because he was obviously very tired, and he was talking about on Friday, which was going to go really long, that he was going to drive back. We were out of town, and he was going to drive back to Nashville to see, because he wanted to see his daughter. And knowing about Brent and everything, it just really kind of unnerved me. And I was like, dude, you can't do that. And so I was like, if you notice on the slate, it's something that I started kind of, and I wish more ACs would do, but on the B slate, I always put, because on A slate now we always put Sarah Jones, we always put for Sarah. So I started putting Brent on the B slate, because not everybody knows about him, not everybody knows Brent's rule. And it's a way, because I can't tell you how many people have asked me, well, who's Brent? And then you tell them, and they're like, oh wow, I didn't know anybody had died. Well, yeah, multiple people have died. So I was like, if you notice on the slate about that, because I don't know what that is. So I told him, and I was like, pull out your phone and look at a picture of your daughter and tell me that it's worth it. And he wouldn't do it. And I said, why won't you do that? Because you know I'm right. So by the end of the day, I said, think about it. I said, but you need to go get some sleep before you go home. And he ended up doing that, which I am really grateful for, because he's a good kid, and I don't want him, you know, he has she's probably 4 now. He had a 2-year-old. I mean, it's not worth it.
Yeah. And we'll have more to say about all of that.
Yeah.
Next up, Mike Schwartz. Mike is a highly experienced stunt coordinator. We're delighted to have him tonight. He's worked on films such as American Sniper, X-Men First Class, Ant-Man, There Will Be Blood. In fact, Mike has over 100 credits on his IMDb for stunt work. He's highly experienced as a coordinator, a stunt utility performer, stunt double, and stunt driver. There's probably no stunt gag that Mike hasn't been involved in creating or participating in some way. Mike, obviously what you do is known to be inherently risky as a stunt coordinator. So what is it about set safety that resonates for you Where does that start for you?
It starts when I first see a script and talk to a director on how he might be shooting it and make sure that all the safety precautions are in place, and that the producer and the director knows right off the bat that if I feel something is not safe, either pre-production or during production, that myself or anybody else on that set should stand up and will be able to stand up and say this isn't safe, and it be discussed. I'm hyper alert when I'm on set, not only because that's my job and for my team and for myself personally, but for everybody on set. And I encourage everybody always to take responsibility for your safety, your personal safety on set, as well as all the other crew members, because you don't just have to be there as a stunt player to get injured or injured or killed, as we all know, on something that you would think is a simple little scene that you're shooting. Not just the big stunt scenes, but the simple scenes will get you hurt and killed as well. So my thing is always stand up, don't be afraid to question or walk away from a set, or let one of your fellow crew members know that they might be in danger if they're standing near something or if they're involved with something.
And we'll talk about strategies and tactics for that as well as we continue the conversation. Thank you, Mike. Peter Kurland, he is not only a 4 times Oscar-nominated production sound mixer, he is in many ways a Nashville treasure, and it's my pleasure to know Peter and his family. His long list of credits includes Hail Caesar, No Country for Old Men, True Grit, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I may make it tonight. Fargo, and all 3 installments of the Men in Black film series. He is also the business agent for IATSE Local 492, which is the local that represents motion picture and television workers in Tennessee and northern Mississippi. Peter, you've been on a lot of sets. What is it about set safety that makes you passionate about doing an event like this?
Well, I've been on and off sets for 35 years, I guess, and in my time, I was on the set adjacent to where Brandon Lee was killed by a prop pistol. My utility guy on No Country for Old Men, on the next movie he was on, he also died driving home from work. There's just a long list of incidents that I have witnessed, and as it turns out, virtually all of them were avoidable, and to avoid them requires a lot of work, a lot of alertness and attention, a fair amount of training, and I just think it's well past time that we help prevent these kind of injuries and unnecessary deaths in the film industry.
And we do have to keep talking about it, and hopefully we're moving the needle, and we will continue to in major ways. Thank you, Peter. Richard Gershman, who I've had the opportunity to meet and get to know over the last couple of years as the chair of the film school at Watkins College of Art here in Nashville, has an amazing resume as well. Decades of film and network television experience, including directing multiple episodes of Judging Amy and Chicago Hope. He also worked as an assistant director on many features, including The Hunt for Red October. His numerous TV credits as a UPM or First AD include Lost, Ugly Betty, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just little things, Chicago Hope, and LA Law. Richard holds advanced degrees from NYU Tisch School of the Arts and the American Film Institute, and is a real amazing resource and a pleasure to have at the helm at Watkins. Richard, you wear so many hats, and now as an educator, obviously you have a passion for passing things along to the new generation. What's your message about safety?
First of all, just hearing you read all those credits, it makes me tired. I feel like I should retire or something. I'm exhausted. Thank you for the introduction.
No pressure.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. I just want to speak directly about being a first AD, because I think you know, that's a role that is right at the nexus of this issue of safety. And as an AD, you're constantly juggling the two sides of the equation there, right? You're the director's assistant. You want to support that director to your best ability. At the same time, you work for the producers. And so you kind of have this dual role that you're playing actually all the time. And you're also being tasked with being the principal safety officer, so to speak, on the set, which is a heavy responsibility. I think the few things that I could say about it is, one, it does take a village. I mean, you know, everybody only has two eyes, and with all the demands that we all have in that work environment, you need to rely on the whole crew to be aware of safety. So that's one of the messages I think that's really important. You know, if you see something, speak up, as Tracy said. Most people want to address that issue. You know, it's not something that people want to ignore, as busy as we all get. If somebody says, you know, there's cables out there, we should put a mat over there because we have pedestrians walking across, or somebody's up on a scissor lift and they're not tied off, or you know, somebody's got the weather app and said we're expecting lightning in a few minutes, you know, should we shut down, we're outside. I mean, all those things that no one person can be aware of all the time. You depend on everybody else to sort of give you that information. The other thing I want to say is that I have been in a situation a number of times where I've had to turn to a director and say, no, you can't do that. Or I've had to actually say, cut. We're not going to proceed because we've crossed the line in terms of safety issues. And, you know, that's not always the easiest thing to do, but universally, I've never been fired because of it. So that's a good thing, which is to say, at the end of the day, that most directors get ahead of themselves, you know, focused on what they want to get done and the picture they're trying to make, and sometimes forget safety. This is, you know, prime example. Maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but in his case, as I wasn't there. But most of the time, the directors are on the same page. They don't want anybody to get hurt, you know. And so if you bring that to their attention, if you tell them, let's everybody take a breath and address this issue, usually they'll come around and realize, okay, yeah, we got to look at this a little differently. So
It's not always the big things, it's sometimes the little things. Yeah. It's not always, it sometimes is negligence, but oftentimes we're just busy and we're just in the flow, and we need to help each other, it seems to me. Yeah. Joyce, we've already gotten an introduction to a great degree. Joyce, in the aftermath of the horrific experience she went through, founded iSafe. And why don't you talk just a moment about that, and we'll be ready to show the PSA. Is her lav mic working at this point? I think we had some issues before. I can't see you. Just thumbs up or thumbs down?
Down.
Thumbs down? There you go.
So I started iSafe TV and Film, and iSafe stands for Industry Safety Awareness for Everyone. And why I started iSafe was because I wanted us to have a safety awareness day, you know, where we can continue the conversation about safety and, you know, promote change through safety, through trainings and workshops and just classes, just so that everybody can be on the same page. And with the iSafe, I decided to do a PSA so that we can constantly be reminded of just being aware of what's happening around us on set and not being afraid to speak up. And when I did the iSafe Day, several unions and several companies have adapted iSafe Day so that we can do events like this just to keep the conversation going about sets and some of the dangers that we face in our workplace. And I also have the iSafe t-shirts where they say, work, be safe, go home. And many crew members have been given the t-shirts, and some have bought t-shirts, so that when stunts are going on set, or if they feel like they can't speak up, if something's happening on set that's not safe, they've been wearing the t-shirts as a visible reminder for the producers, the directors, and the crew members, just to take a moment to think about that shot or think about what they're doing without even saying a word. So I did the PSA as one of the visible reminders that Being safe is part of a lifestyle, and if we aren't, things like this can happen to any of us.
So Joyce, this is, the intention is that every February 20th, is that, tell me about that.
Yes, the intention is for every February 20th to be an iSafe Day. Yes, we should think about safety all the time, but because of the tragedy that happened on February 20th, it's already in everybody's thoughts, hearts, and minds. That's why I used that date as the day for iSafe Day.
And let me just say on a personal note, my seeing this PSA on Facebook was what caused me to reach out and say, hey Joyce, I teach film students. Do you have any resources that from your organization that I might bring to Nashville? And she said, how about me? And here we are. So thank you for making that suggestion, and thanks again to everyone for making this important conversation happen.